Let me ask the anti-war crowd, the leftists, the liberals, something very simple. What's your solution? Because for years, especially in January, people in Iran tried doing it on their own.
So I actually know Nems in person, and I wanted to answer his question because I think it's genuinely a good question. Like, genuinely, if someone's going through something and they're asking for help, why is it such a big deal to say, like, we're asking you for help? So first, I want to address the ideology that so many people think this is like a leftist thing, like an anti-war agenda. I mean, realistically, a majority of Republicans support an attack, but that means 40% of Republicans don't support it, and a vast majority of Democrats also don't support it, which means the vast majority of the country does not support it. So this isn't like a leftist agenda. This is just like an American thing. We don't like wasting money and our American lives on other people. So why don't we help? Well, first off, there are dozens upon dozens of countries around the world where people are living under a brutal regime. So by this logic, we cannot just say, well, the Iranian people are special. No one else should get this but the Iranian people. You are now opening the door to say, we need to go into North Korea. We need to go into, let's say, Cuba. We need to go into the list of countries right here, and we need to go and bomb them, even if we kill their children, as the U.S. has admitted now we have done. And yeah, we need to free them. Okay, great. Let's say we do that. Does it work? If we follow the data, it doesn't work. Let's take a look. I asked ChatGPT to quantify it for us to make it a little bit easier, but in this study, they basically checked over 64 attempts of regime change where the U.S. was intervening. And only about 10 to 12 of them are producing long-lasting democracy. So that's about a 15 to 20% chance that it even works, right? With an 85% chance of it going into civil war, instability, basically way worse than it currently is. Yeah, but then what do we do? Well, we do know what to do. The Harvard professor who quantified democracy, and again, a number of other studies, has shown what works best. Again, I've put this study into ChatGPT to break it down for us, but you could see right here that there's a 50 to 55% chance of a successful regime change when it's done internally, like a civil war or an uprising, in comparison to when other nations are getting involved. And I spent over 15 years in college studying this exact topic. So what did I learn from nonviolent social change and violent social change? It makes a drastic difference on who is doing it. If you're going into a country and you're actively forcing that country to do what you want it to do, it doesn't actually work for the people because they are not learning. It's a kind of a similar concept when you're raising a child and when you just do something for someone versus when they kind of figure it out on their own. But this is at a mass scale. And we know factually through the data that I just showed that it doesn't necessarily work the way we think it's going to work when we go and intervene. And I totally understand. People are dying on all sides and is very tough. But when we talk about things like, well, look, we've been protesting when we've tried it and it didn't work. What do you mean? The average country takes decades upon decades to create a regime change that is long lasting. So this idea of like, well, we tried it, now you guys need to come in and use your weapons and sacrifice your people and kill our children to get this done for us, it's still not going to work. And this is the problem that people don't understand. It's not just about the small chance that this even works. It's on the inverse, what happens? This is long-lasting issues like we saw in Syria, like we saw in Iraq. It creates a vacuum and it creates more extremism. What we know that will happen for the 80% of people who it doesn't work out for is much worse. You're talking about decades upon decades of extremism that arises, instability in the entire region that spills over into other countries. How do we know? Because this is why Iran is where it is today. It's just ironic to go, what could go wrong if the US gets involved? This is a horrible regime, when this regime is put in power because of the vacuum that the US created in Iran in the first place. So I get it. On surface level, it sounds crazy to be like, well, we could theoretically help these people. Why don't we? And it's because of everything that I just said. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work out. It makes things worse. That is why, period.